Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Disc Covers, the only podcast online that reads, reviews, and ranks all 41 of Sir Terry Pratchett's Discworld series of comic fantasy novels. As ever, I am your host, Iris J. Pronouns are she or there. And I got one question for you. Who's feeling witchy? Am I right, folks? Am I right?
I'm feeling witchy.
With me are my illustrious co-hosts. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let's see. Belina, then June, then Grace. Does that sound good?
Sure.
I think that's how we always do it, fair enough.
Yeah, we just generally go down the list because, that's easy. Anyways, I am still Belina. I am still she/they. That may or may not change in the near future. We'll figure it out as we go along. I'm just happy to be here, as always.
I'm Juniper. I'm still she/her. I'm curious what the point of us introducing ourselves if immediately before that Iris is like, Juniper, Belina, and Grace, could you introduce yourself?
Well, so that all of our listeners know what each of your voices sound like.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Maybe I should introduce myself as Grace to confuse them. Keep them on their toes.
Don't do that.
Well, but people not Grace introducing themselves as Grace is like the Grace gender anyway.
Oh, that's true.
That is true.
I would get some gender from that. I'd appreciate it. And I am the internet's beloved Princess Grace. She, her, fey, fair, if you're spicy. Always a pleasure.
Hell yeah. And today we're here to talk about the 23rd book in the Discworld series, Carpe Jugulum, another witch's book published in, I believe it was, 1998. Yep, 1998. Check the colophon. I think it's the not technically the last witch's book, but I think the last witch's novel.
It's the last witch's book until the Tiffany Aching series, I think.
Yeah, Tiffany Aching.
Yeah.
And wow, it is going out with a bang for the series.
God, yeah.
About for a novel about like just basically the plot of Lords and Ladies, but a little bit rehashed and tightened up on the back end. The scant few years between when Lords and Ladies was written and when this was written, Terry really got better in that time between then and now, because holy shit.
Yeah, he mixed in a little of Small Gods.
It is also kind of a Small Gods sequel, which is strange, but cool. It spanks.
Yeah, we love Small Gods. I like this.
I liked Lords and Ladies. It was fun. I loved this book. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Oh. Yeah, it kicks ass. So, if we're just diving into it, how about without further ado, we turn things over to our amazingly adept synoptrix, Belina, to summarize the contents of this book. Whenever you're ready, Belina, feel free to take it away.
Back at it again in the Lanker Mountains. King Varence and Queen Margaret have somehow produced a child, and the whole kingdom is invited. Granny Weatheraxe does not show up, as her invite was stolen by magpies, so she isn't there to help when the vampire house of Magpier shows up and starts taking over. Everyone is okay with this because vampires are actively cool and very good at mind control is the thing. The magpiers base themselves around the ideals of self-improvement and are actively seeking to remove the millions of vulnerabilities vampires have accrued over the years and consider themselves to be the top of all food chains. Everyone agrees with this part, too. Thankfully, Agnes Nitt, who's joined up with the witches at the end of Maskerade because her other dreams had fallen through, is way more actively plural than she was the last time you saw her, which gives her resistance to external influences thanks to all of the internal influence. Prying Nanny, Og, and Margaret loose, the three venture off to find Granny, who insists that this isn't her fight and that she's outclassed anyways. Without any better plan, like her castle is stormed, it goes poorly. Granny shows up because of course she does, and is quickly overwhelmed and is buffeted and buffeted by every vampire in the castle. Beaten and demoralized, Nanny, Margaret, and Igor, parenthetical, there's always an Igor, flee Lanker Castle and end up taking refuge at the Magpire's own lair. Don't go near the castle. Agnes gets cornered and carried off by Vlad Magpier, who's convinced that he can turn Agnes to his family side before he turns her into a vampire. Granny confronts her own dark nature and the nature of how cool it would be to be a vampire herself, leaving herself weakened. With the help of the quite Reverend Mightily Oates, who is similarly of two minds about everything because that's what it takes to think critically about modern Omnian religion, she also seemingly coincidentally makes her way to Don't Go Near the Castle, towing along a phoenix that happened to be roosting in the Lanker aviary. As part of his attempts to woo Agnes, Vlad and the rest of the Magpiers bring Agnes along for a feeding session in the village of Escrow, which goes awry as the collected vampires suddenly start feeling very unlike themselves and stumble off, fleeing to Don't Go Near the Castle. Agnes is bitten, but it's okay, promise. As everyone slowly ends up in the same place, with Nanny and Igor exploiting vampire weaknesses that are working again, and the Phoenix outside burning as many as it can find, Granny reveals that halfway through the book she had borrowed her own blood, meaning that when she was getting enthralled, she was actually possessing the vampires themselves. This is why they all started to turn into bickering hags, and why Agnes herself was a lot more interesting for a few pages. The Magpier clan is picked apart, and the fight is truly over when Igor wakes up the grandsire of the clan, who promises to bring the old ways back. Kinda unsure how I feel about that, but anything's better than overambitious vampires who are actively removing their weaknesses while being smug about it. And with that, the old ways do return, which is a nice way to say that everything goes back to normal, even if it takes the last 10% of the book to wrap up all the loose ends and have several quiet endings in a row.
Wow.
Woo! You're so
Nice.
wise here.
A lot happened in this book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was simultaneously like a bunch, and that one was actually really hard to summarize, and I feel like I ended up having to pad out. I had to start using jokes just because it was too dense.
It uses the same Pratchett thing where, like, oh, hey, we've got a whole bunch of random characters who are all kind of running into each other in different scenarios. But unlike the other books, they actually matter. What they're doing does matter to the story, and their storylines are interesting, and they don't all come together as well as they could, perhaps, but you care about all of them enough to not just be like, what the fuck's going on with these guys? Why are we cutting back to the... I think a good example from a previous book. Why are we cutting back to the B squad that we hate? But yeah, I really like the book. Actually has a lot going on throughout it in a way that is really to its benefit. I think it cuts back and forth between where all the different characters are. But I cared about seeing Granny. I cared about her and Oates' journey. I cared about Agnes having lots of conversations with herself. I cared about Nanny Og trying to figure out what exactly to do. I cared about all of them. Maybe Varence's story is a little bit goofy, but
yeah, Varence and the Pixies are like completely pointless as far as the plot is concerned.
They're pretty funny at times.
They're funny. I'm not going to say they aren't funny, but like they have zero impact on the narrative. Like the Pixies are just there to keep Varence out of trouble, and they don't even accomplish that.
I will say that like both Varence and the Pixies and also Igor in the castle, I feel like were in there not because they necessarily needed to be, but more just to provide comic relief. But like in the case of this specific book, I was never like, oh no, we got to stop everything for jokes, because usually the jokes would come in between some like heavy shit. So it's like, oh, thank God. Okay, we can take a breath here and crack some jokes about like old Hammer horror movies and stuff. That's great.
That's another big part of this book. In previous books, I sometimes found Granny... I love her. She's a great character, but occasionally she was just such an asshole to everyone. And in this book, it works really well because you feel how tired and run down she is throughout the whole book. You can feel how desperate she is. There's an just air of darkness over the whole book that works so well.
It's not that she's being mean because she can, it's being mean because she has to vent it in some way, and this is the most productive way to do it.
Yeah.
And like, she is the one who has to be mean, right? That's like, that is her place. She is the one who has to make the hard choice. She is the one who has to be mean. And this is kind of, in an earlier book in Maskerade, we saw this, I believe. We had the same back and forth of like, aren't you tired of being nice? Don't you want to go apeshit? But like, that's where we got Perdita in the first place. But like, it works kind of better for Granny.
Yeah.
I mean, it works quite well for both. Like, it's a mood, but...
Yeah, I think a lot about her talking at the end of Witches Abroad, talking to her sister about how she always did resent her sister for making her, Esme, have to be the nice one in the family, have to be the reasonable one, have to be the one who does good. And like, because of that, she has to bear so much more of a burden than just going sicko mode or whatever. Like, it's also interesting because like we see those hard choices come to bear at the start of the book in a scene that mirrors the bit in, I believe it was also Witches Abroad, where it was Granny basically essentially cheated death in order to save what was it, like was it a child? Yeah, it was like a sick baby.
Wasn't that equal rights?
It was playing cards for the baby, for the
I think it was
kid, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Witches Abroad because it was Granny plays cards really good.
It was on the
that
boat.
was the same bit.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
It was in the
It
boat.
was-
It was where they went to Fantasy New Orleans. I remember
Yeah,
this
no,
because
yeah.
I read I saw a fucking Stack Overflow question about it, and the person completely missed the point of the playing cards with death scene. That's like, oops, all ones, I guess I lose.
Yeah. But in this book, it's essentially kind of a similar setup, except it's a much direr situation in which it's a childbirth gone wrong, and a choice has to be made between the mother living or the baby living, and it's up to Granny to make that choice, and that choice fucking sucks, but it's the kind that is, like, that's the reason people respect witches, is, like, not because, ooh, powers or whatever. It's because they're the ones who handle a lot of, like, behind-the-scenes community shit like this, and they're the ones who have to make the tough calls.
She actively muses about how, like, if she had gotten the invitation, which she figures out later, she knew it was stolen. She knew that one was actually delivered. But if she hadn't been playing along with not getting it, she wouldn't have been able to go to that bit, and she wouldn't have been able to quote-unquote solve that problem. She at least saved somebody else from having that problem.
She's so mad about all of it. It's really, honestly, kind of painful just how she's just like, oh, I hate you for doing this to me. I hate the world in general for forcing me to be here. Oh.
Yeah, literally, all, like, it's kind of implied that literally her only hobby is borrowing other animals and stuff and spending time not being herself, which is pretty depressing.
Yeah.
But this book is really interesting, I think, in that, like, it's not just Granny. Like, the whole book is about kind of taking the established structure we've had of the witches and really kind of shaking it the fuck up. Granny is now depressed, and when she's not depressed, she's completely absent from the story. Nanny has to take a leadership role, which she kind of chafes against for the whole book.
She's no kind of about it. She despises being in charge.
Yeah. She's way better as somebody who riffs on things that other people set her to. But when she has to make the decisions, she's stubborn and she gets things done, and she doesn't have bad ideas. She just doesn't like that she can't have fun with it, you know?
It's such the best moment in the book, just when one of my favorite moments in the whole book is you go through all of the buildup of getting to Granny in the caves, and, like, you saw at her house that she was doing this because she's being stubborn and like, oh, well, they just don't care about me anymore, so I'll go live by myself alone, like, because she's dramatic and wants to make a point and is kind of an asshole and all of this. And she's done this before in previous books, and then you get to her and she does all that, and then afterwards Nanny walks in and she's like, I don't think I can do this. I genuinely don't think I can do this. And it just immediately takes it from the point of, like, she's just being an asshole again to everyone, to, oh no, this is serious. This book is serious. We have to take it seriously. Oh fuck. It's a great moment of just like, oh shit.
She outright says, like, look, I know that this was only getting to me because, I've got outside influences turning me against myself, and unfortunately I don't know how to fight that. And, like, mood, woman, I completely understand the feeling that, the way that isolation causes one to curl up on themselves in a way that you then instinctively fight against anything that might even take you out of it. I mean, this is just like, this is Depression 101. This is like, this is what it is, but just, it was very hard to feel anything more than sympathy about it.
Yeah, like, Granny doesn't come off as an asshole in this book in the same way that she has in previous books. She's still a little bit of that, but when she is, it's like, oh, hell yeah, get it, girl. Yeah. Like, mostly it's, she comes, like, it's this vibe of, like, both really exhausted and also up against an enemy that is pervasive and completely outclassing her in terms of the headology for most of the book.
Yeah, like, that's the thing, right? Is that, like, a lot of worse fiction would, like, they do this really annoying thing, like, the character who can fix everything just kind of fucks off for half the story until they go get them, and then, you know, mostly just because they had to fuck us so the story could happen. But with Granny, it's like, you get it, right? Like, she's like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, they're beating my own fucking game. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just gonna sit here in this cave and rot.
Heard you saying that made me think, yes, the old let's put Satoru Gojo into a cube situation. But yeah, it's really interesting to see her struggle in a very human and relatable way like this. And it's like, reading this book was like, you know, I've said on previous episodes, yo, I fucking love the witches. The witches kick ass. They're great. And then y'all were like, okay, Iris, sure. But like with this book, it's like, oh no, this is why I like the witches books. I like this book specifically.
It's good. It's really fucking good. I liked the rest of the witches books, but this really crystallized a lot of the things that I've heard about their characters, just the way they've been treated. Also, I fucking love Agnes. Oh my god, I love her so
let's
much.
talk about Agnes.
She's so great in this.
I was very rude to her, but no, she's good.
Agnes finally gets her glow up. All she had to do was be two people. And you know what? Sometimes that's all any of us need.
Yeah, it was... I don't think I ever... I absolutely had completely forgotten the just plurality rep in this, let's say, which is impressive because it's 20 years before this sort of thing became even remotely mainstream.
Yeah, this is 98.
I think I remember seeing, like, Bear or someone I knew post about, like, reading this book and posting, oh, plurality makes you immune to mind control, and like, oh, this is that book. Okay.
Yep. It's fascinating, though, how the book... I mean, it's what Pratchett does best. It's the same thing he'll eventually do with gender later that'll have all of us ranting even longer, is he comes up with a funny joke, and then he can't just make it a joke because he has to take it seriously because he likes his characters, and he's going to take them seriously and treat their thing seriously. And by treating Agnes's thing seriously, you just create plurality because that's what she is.
No, like it's really wild that Perdita essentially was born back in Maskerade thanks to like what's essentially a running fat joke. And in this book it's like, no. Perdita is crucial to understanding who Agnes is and how she interacts with the world. Which is... And also as a result of that, like, Agnes doesn't get, like, really... I think it's maybe, like, one or two jokes leveled at her because of that. And they're both by, like, assholes. And everything else is like, she's like, the main character of the book, ostensibly.
The thing that got me so much in Maskerade was the fact that Pratchett was being endlessly cutesy about it. And he's cutesy about it at the start of the book, but eventually he just kind of stops it and lets people just say it out loud instead of finding
dancing
new euphemism. People are just allowed to say, no, she's heavy. She knows she's heavy. Yes, like Lacrimosa just absolutely calls her fat more than once. Just fucking say it, please. I understand the euphemism. I understand being cutesy about it, but for God's sakes, you can only do that so long before it gets on your nerves.
And that was one of the things I noticed about this book, especially more, is like, I think this is one of your, like, where Pratchett really starts, like, I think, like, Mightily Oates is, like, a great example of, like, previously, like, if you compare him to, like, Constable Visit, who's, like, always just kind of a weird joke, like, Oates gets, like, so much to do in this book. He gets to kick ass. He gets to cut a vampire's head off with a cool, glowing axe. He gets, like, a whole arc.
Great.
Like, he whips. Like, he's, like, one of the first Omniscience, like, brother that, like, gets treated with, like, respect. He gets, like, an arc and everything.
Do you think that the whole Golden Axe thing was a reference to Golden Axe, the 1989 Sega game designed by...
I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Given what we know about Pratchett, it wouldn't surprise me. But
I don't think so. For one thing, there weren't any gnomes stealing food in the night. They didn't ride any lizards. Come on.
There's a fucking Tomb Raider reference in this. I don't think Golden Axe is off the table.
But seriously, I could also talk about Mightily Oates for like an entire episode, and about how it's, speaking as like somebody who had a big old boner for Small Gods as a book, I think it's really interesting that Terry is willing to kind of actively question some of the conclusions he drew in that book, and to kind of actively offer his own rebuttal to stuff, and about how, like, ideas can evolve with time, and like the doctrine that Brutha put out, while it definitely got people to stop burning other people at the stake and stuff, well, it wasn't perfect, and there's still like some gaps in that, and there's some parts that kind of echo like, oh yeah, like Granny says, like, man, religion was better when y'all did burn stuff, And at times I was like, that's kind of weird, but I do get it in terms of like thinking of it like,
at least you believed in something.
Yeah, it's like you're taking. It was nice when you took any stance at all.
There's all the
frequent
conversations they have are really fascinating.
There's a running throughout this book of like, things weren't necessarily better in the past, but at least they were simpler. And Pratchett comes back to that well a lot. And again, I'm not sure I necessarily agree with it, but it also kind of, like, Lancre is a place that is built out of tradition. And I get that that's just like what they do. That is what they're expecting. But I don't know. There's just the part of me that recoils at this. Well, it wasn't so bad having a vampire who was at least a normal kind of monster. We could deal with normal kinds of monsters. There's no like, well, he could just not be a monster. Like there are perfectly equitable ways this could have been set up. You could have actually had a regular tourism board.
I did kind of enjoy the old Count who like was sporting about it and would like set up stakes all over the place.
Okay, I do appreciate that, like the thing of the idea that vampires weren't stupid. It's just that they kept stuff simple and straightforward, because then nobody really actively came to kill them. They just came to incapacitate them for a few decades, and that was kind of an arrangement that.
Yeah,
I liked that. That actually answered like, why are vampires stupid? They're not stupid. They just know that this is what works. They don't want to. They don't want to push it.
Yeah, they're sporting, right?
If you're an immortal parasite, you need to learn how to continue to exist and how to convince other people that, like, oh yeah, well, that's a threat, but that's a threat we can manage if it gets out of hand.
We will never truly be rid of COVID because COVID is turning into something that doesn't kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's how diseases work. They can't propagate if the host is dead.
Right. Which, it's interesting to view that as counterpoint to our main antagonist, the Magpie family, quote, family, unquote. And their kind of yuppie-ass idea of the future of vampires, and about how they're justified to rule just because, I mean, obviously, they're just better than everyone else, and they're so well-dressed, and they're so charming. And, they're really reasonable with how they murder people. It's totally fine. It's fine. Who are these well-dressed young vampires who we simply can't get enough of in our modern city?
I have a note here where I just write, oh, great, more racist hypnodoms, just like Scott Adams. Jesus Christ. They have a whole fucking thing about, we're getting rid of all the lesser species or whatever. I mean, they actually say lesser races, but like, just in case you didn't realize these guys were bastards, and just in case you didn't realize one of the bad guys later on, they literally kick the dog. Like, they literally kick Scraps.
They kill Scraps! How could they?
Which... Igor was another guy who had been, like, a weird joke in an earlier book, but, like, I love him. He, like, as soon as you meet him, you're like, oh, he's gonna kill his fucking bosses, isn't he? And he does, and it whips.
It's awesome.
This is the first time that we've seen this is the modern Igor, because we're going to see a lot of Igors in the future, and they're all exactly like this guy. And that's the joke, is that they're all exactly like this guy.
Yeah.
Igor is a type of Discworld guy or occasionally girl who I just fucking love to see.
So fantastic.
The self-made man, he does the fucking Young Frankenstein bit, which I'm a sucker for.
Yeah. Like, the whole bit with Igor's, listeners, if you didn't read the book or whatever, is that they're a family, a clan of people who are traditionally retainers to folks up in Uberwald, mad scientists, vampires, other kooky people who live in big castles and have eccentric ways. But their other thing is that they act exactly like every character named Igor in every horror movie ever. And they're also made out of each other. They're made out of bits and parts of other people. And they're all expert surgeons because of that. And this will come in extreme handy later on in the Discworld series.
Yeah, there's obviously a very sweet bit with like, I've got good feet. They're from this lumberjack where a tree fell on him, but the feet were fine, and his family let me the feet. And that was that. Well, I'm glad he thought of me after I gave him so and so's kidney and such and such's eye. And it's a whole I have my uncle's ears. It's
the joke that people don't just don't really die around here. They just pass on.
Yeah.
Because there's an Igor there to take everybody apart and use them to maintain everyone else.
This is my shit.
The important thing about Igor is that they're used completely sincerely, and they just commit to the bit just to the hilt every single time. They are exactly what they appear to be every time, and it's great.
There's a whole thing with the old count knew how to do it. He loved how I got the hinges just squeaky enough, and I got the candle all big and drippy, and loose the spiders to get the nice cobwebs everywhere. The new vampires hate that, but the old guy, he loved that. He was really proud of it. It's just a good bit. It's like classic, the lair maintainer.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's just classic management technique 101 is take notice of the little details that your employees are passionate about, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the new Magpiers didn't do that. They didn't give a shit.
They hate him. They're awful.
They are some fucking detestable people.
Yeah, there's even a bit where when they're in Lancre Castle and the Magpiers are taking over, and King Varence, who's also a modern-minded man, but the people of Lancre don't really seem all that interested in it. He went through all the trouble to get the castle piped for gaslight, and Igor's going around replacing everything with candles again.
They don't even know where he's getting the candles from. He just seems to be finding them.
Yeah. We think he saves his earwax.
Well, the man's got a lot of ears, so
that's true.
Mm-hmm. He's really fun, and once again, like everything in this book, he's taken very weirdly seriously. Like Pratchett he's a joke character, sure, but he's still a character that you empathize with, and he wins in the end. He gets to go be an Igor for the old count and be over the top and funny in that way.
Yeah, as soon as I saw this man, I thought, oh, he's going to kill his bosses, and I'm already rooting for him. Get their asses.
Yeah. The entire dynamic of the ending is really fascinating.
I made fun of the fact that the final battle is actually at about the 55% mark, and then the rest of the book is just dealing with the aftermath. But at the same time, it was such a good scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really good.
It was important for it to be halfway because you had to have a good chunk of the book where it seems like Esme Weatherwax just fucking lost and is really behind the eight ball now. The whole bit about her climbing back to the castle with Oates through the rain and the muck and it takes a long time for them to get there, and the book underlines that it sucks every step of the way. And Granny looks like she's about to keel over and die and all this shit. That I feel like we had to have the whole big face-off before that so that we could have that bit, have all those awesome conversations between her and Oates, and then get to the final showdown where Granny gets to pull out a fake cup of tea and do the whole like JoJo ass music of like, you thought you fucked me over, but secretly I have been fucking you over this entire time. What's up?
I gotta say, I put my mind into my blood so that when you drank it and fucked you up and made you into me just enough to fuck you over is like...
That's the most metal
that is a
thing.
JoJo fight.
That is so awesome.
Very specifically, she infects them with traditionalism. Like, I was just making fun of that, but, like, she makes them superstitious, and that's brilliant. Like, it's probably maybe one of my favorite twists in the entire series. And it's the one thing I actually remembered from this book.
Right. Because the most important thing you can do to fascists isn't just to kill them. It's to make them afraid.
Yeah. The politics of this book are fascinating. Because it does have that sort of, like, I don't want to say desire for traditionalism, but, like, the old count winning at the end, him being the better option. But at the same time, like, the new people are fascists. That's what they are. Yeah. Like, fundamentally, their goal is to use their modern ways to rule the country and control literally everyone in the most fascist way possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much that tradition is better, it's just, it's a better the devil you know situation.
It's a strange thing of, like, I think it's a thing that Pratchett struggled with a lot, which is looking at the modern world that's coming and realizing exactly how fucked up, horrifying, and evil it is. How genuinely, completely awful in every way, like, Margaret Thatcher and her entire crew and all of that stuff is. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to not go, well, maybe things used to be better when you look at that, because that's definitely worse in a lot of ways. It definitely seems to be a lot worse. But at the same time, like, maybe we can shoot for something even better. And it's a complex thing. And the book, I could talk about the politics of this book for a while, but at the same time, like, I don't really care to, because it definitely knows who the bad guy is. The bad guy is the weird, shitty fascists who suck and who are like, modernism is a way for us to control you and absolutely ruin you.
It does bug me that the answer is, let's go back and not, let's point out that this isn't as unequal as it looks. There's a hell of a lot of us, and they can only resist us for so long. You put the fear back into the vampires. They could have kept pushing. They could have made something better. That's the fucking point.
There's a whole thing at the start with, like... No, you're correct, dude. There's a whole thing at the start with, like, Liker never really took with democracy, but if the king fucks up, we'll form a mob and we'll tell him about it, which is its own kind of democracy, I suppose. Honestly, to me, the argument there is, like... You know how sometimes a town with, like, 20 people, like, elect a cat as mayor as a publicity stunt? Mm-hmm. Like, Liker doesn't really need anyone to be in charge. They just like to have a guy there they can yell at.
Yeah, there's maybe, like, I think it's implied there's maybe, like, only, like, a few hundred people who live there. It's a tiny country, and it's mostly hills, and there's no money there, but it's,
it's repeatedly brought up that, Liker's standing army, Jason Ogg, would much rather listen to his own mother than the king. So, like, it's not, it's not like Varys is really going to do all that much.
Mm-hmm. Right. And it's interesting, too, that, like, with escrow, which I actually didn't understand. I thought there was, like, some sort of, like, complex meta joke with calling the town escrow. Like, an escrow is, like, a thing in, like, legal parlance where it's essentially keeping some sort of collateral in order to ensure an amicable relationship between two parties involved in some sort of negotiation. So maybe that's like they're literally like the human escrow for the vampires in their scheme to essentially overtake the whole the whole disc or whatever. But
it doesn't really make sense, like, because an escrow is a trusted third party, right? Like, if you and I want to make a deal, but we don't trust each other, but we both trust the escrow, the third party, we can, I give them the money, they give the escrow the keys to the car or whatever, and once we're good, they release them. That's not really what escrow is. The town of escrow is here. Is just like, it's more like a demonstration. It is a threat.
This really feels like it was just, I needed a word that sounds like a place but could also be interpreted as a joke.
Yeah. I mean, like how we finally learned why the town is called Badass here. That's fun.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, the whole thing with that is they do, the townspeople do rise up, and they do kick the vampires' asses, and they do take it to the castle and hunt down the Magpie family in their house. But they, it's that, like, leaving that balance of, like, the whole, like, oh yeah, well, the old count, at least we knew where we stood with the old count. That does kind of, like, undercut it, the whole message of that, like, but on the other hand, the flip side of that, like, not to advocate for the fascists, of course, which I'm not, but I'm saying with vampires in this, they're kind of also another species on the disc, and I have to guess that maybe Terry was like, well, hold on, if I make the rule of thumb just kill all vampires on sight, fuck them, like, then I can't have vampire characters show up as characters later in the series, which they do. And also the fact that, like, vampires can survive without drinking human blood at all, and it's really more just out of a
psychosomatic need. Like, they kind of hinted at it in, like, earlier books where they're, the joke about hemogoblins, little iron gnomes in the blood.
It is interesting that there's no Black Ribboners before this book, and then a weird missionary goes to Uberwald, and then shortly after we discover that Black Ribboners are a thing in the setting. We can't confirm that this is a thing, but that is the sequence of events here.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But I guess I should also, like, reel back a little bit, because my whole point was that the vampires should be in fear of the town, and the count the old count kind of fucking was. That was the whole point. That was why he was easy to kill, was so they would only kill him a little. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm kind of undercutting myself there, but I still don't really like the presentation of it.
I think partially it's just that Pratchett always wants to have an actual answer to the questions in his stories. He has to be like, okay, well, why would they be like that? But no, why would they exist like that? Like, why do vampires act like that? I don't understand. I need there to be a reason. No, he can't just be like...
The thing is, like, I like that reason. I like the reason of, they're easy to kill, so you only kill them a little, so you don't actually kill them. That part's okay. It's just that it gets muddied up.
Yeah, it's the curse of, like, if you make a fantasy book that's 100% all allegory for real life shit, then it's like, well, there's a danger of that coming off as very, like, dry and, like, who gives a shit about the characters. But then if you go the other way and it's just like, oh, it's all world building, I didn't think about any of the ramifications or parallels this might have to the real world whatsoever, then you get like fucking gamey throny shit or like real dreck. Hitting that balance is hard.
Yeah. Any number of furry fantasy racism stories with the implications considered to various levels.
Yeah, kids.
Again, I'm holding him to an impossible standard, especially because like we know that we know what his perspective looks like. We know that he's kind of got skewed priorities in a few things. And it's not he's well-meaning, but doesn't always.
Mm-hmm.
We've had this discussion every episode, comrade.
If you wanted to listen to an hour and change of people blowing smoke up a dead guy's ass, there are plenty of other podcasts you could listen to.
Yeah. We are always going to struggle with him. He was a really fascinating dude, and he had a lot of really fascinating ideas that he didn't get to fully explore. And I wish he could have explored more of them, honestly. He's one of my favorite authors for like this reason. I love looking at these things. I love asking why he wrote them the way they did. I love asking what they mean. It's part of why I wanted to do this podcast is because I kept looking online for good and interesting like analysis of the themes in Discworld. Because Discworld is part of why I am like a leftist, why I am someone who believes the things I do, is because it gave me a moral framework when I was younger, and it asked me to question a lot of things. And now as an adult, I find that it's actually hard to find like good analysis of a lot of these books, and that's part of why I want to do this podcast, so that I can discuss these things with y'all.
Like,
it's always light.
We have the very excellent position here of like, we know this, he was a good dude, we know that he meant well, we know that he thought a lot about a lot of details, and the fact that we can sit here and pick this stuff apart and find where did he make things that we would deem mistakes is, yeah, it's why we're fucking here. It's why that's why we're still doing this 3 years in.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Also because I enjoy doing this podcast with y'all. It's still
yeah, but
really
we could have found other reasons to hang out that didn't involve this, but I'm glad we chose this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's an interesting ending. It's an interesting book on the whole. It definitely knows who the worst people on Earth are, and I admire that. But also, it's like,
I'm still going to bite it for the fact that it we're all discussing this like it ends the moment they leave the castle. It doesn't. That happens at about 90%. The last 10% of the book is just ending after ending after ending.
There's so many characters. He has to like remind you of all of them.
Like,
hey, remember these guys?
There were like several times where like, well, surely the next time I turn the page is going to be the about the other. Nope. Okay, couple more pages. Okay, well, he brought the dog bag. That's nice.
I gotta guess the reason for that is because Terry legit thought that he was putting this whole setting to bed, and it would feel... maybe it would have felt weird to him and to readers if it had just been like, well, done at the castle, bing bang, we're going home. Later, y'all. Like, maybe he felt like he needed to put a little extra juice into giving one last send-off to everybody.
If that was the case, I really wish the last time that we see Agnes is her going, well, bye.
Yeah. She just kind of fucks off.
She just kind of pieces out with no resolution.
Agnes after this, I think she might come back somewhere in Tiffany Aching, but it's definitely not like a huge thing. And
she's so cool in this book.
She's so good.
Listeners, if you're planning on, we keep asking every episode, like if you're writing any fanfic or whatever, if you're writing any Agnes fanfic, you have to send it to us as a rule.
It's the law.
Fanfic, if you will.
Yeah. disc@hypnovire.us, email it to us. But
you have to do it as soon as possible because I want it so badly. I desperately need it. I can't stop thinking about it. I love her.
She's and you know who else I loved? Oh. Yeah, we haven't talked about her yet, but I really like Maskerade in this book.
Yeah.
She's so much better than she's been in any of the other books she's in.
Yeah, she gets to like do shit. She's not like... People stop, like, putting upon her so much. She gets agency. She, like, carries that damn baby everywhere she goes and kicks ass doing it.
Maskerade's always had kind of the dynamic of, like, refusing to do it other people's way, even when that way would be better. That was kind of what she did a lot of the time, is just got shown up by the other two witches. But in this book, she gets to, like, be like, no, I'm doing this my stupid way. And that way works. It's cool. It's great to watch her do it. She carries the baby through the whole book, and actually that's fantastic. It's so much fun to watch. She's like, no, I'm doing it this way. I'm doing it like this. The moment when Agnes is trying to break her out of like the hypnosis of the vampires is just like, they're vampires. They're eating people. And then it's finally like, Granny's gone and we can't find her. And Maskerade immediately shifts into like, fuck, that matters. I have to care about that. Oh, it's so good. Such a good moment.
It's this book does a lot of good shit with like the fact that we know these characters and how we can play on that. The fact they're getting, they're changing, they're getting messed with. Like the part with the buoys with glass balls, and there's a whole paragraph about how like this must be serious because Danny doesn't like laugh about that at all.
Mm-hmm.
She would have been laughing about that for years, but no, she's busy. She's focused.
Nanny is shocked that Maskerade can even make dick jokes now. She's
not
sure how to compute.
Yes.
It's really funny, honestly.
We do not too long later, like, there's like a breezy reference about Nanny's dick candle that she bought from Ogba Pork and shows to guests.
I love Nanny
Absolutely
in this book as well. Yeah. She's so fantastic.
She's just trying to make things work, you know. Nanny's just trying to hang the fuck in there. She does her best, and maybe it doesn't always work, but she does her goddamn best.
Like there's even the bit where Margaret is, she's hiding, and someone knocks on the door, and it's the vampires trying to fuck with her, but they're doing a voice, and she's like, "Oh, great, I've been waiting for you." Now, just so I know what you can tell me, the one about like the rhinoceros and the priest or whatever, like the filthy joke you don't understand until you're 40.
And they're immediately just like,
oh, fine, you got
so
us.
funny. God, Nanny's so great in this book. Everyone is really great in this book. I can't really think of a character that I hated. The bad guys, because they sucked.
Yeah, but they were good at their jobs.
Yeah.
And I really did love Agnes's entire thing in this book. I loved there's a moment later on where you get her and Perdita, they're constantly arguing through the whole book, and then there's the moment where, what's the vampire girl's name?
Lacrimosa.
Lacrimosa.
Such a good name.
Lacrimosa calls her fat, and both of them are just immediately like, we should kill her. Immediate agreement in their head of, okay, but we should kill her as much as we can, right?
Yeah. God,
such a
the
fucking
vibe
moment.
was, the vibe of that was so I get to make fun of my hometown all I want, but if you make fun of my hometown, I'm gonna gut you like a fucking fish.
It's so great. Oh. God. I love them both. I really love their whole dynamic.
I was gonna say, I love that, one of my favorite things with how Perdita's portrayed in this is, literally, when she takes over, other people, notice. She has different body language. She has a different way of talking, and you can see that in the text very plainly, and other characters comment on it. It's oh, shit. Pratchett takes great pains to illustrate, no, this isn't just this isn't a joke or whatever. This is a different person. But also at the same time, Perdita kind of couldn't exist without Agnes. She exists in response to Agnes's life experiences, and she kind of needs Agnes as much as Agnes needs her. They complement each other. It's not just it's a very nuanced representation of that kind of thing, which is surprising, again, for 1998.
Yeah, it was very much Pratchett inventing this from first principles.
Yep, he does that a lot, and I love him.
Yeah, no, that's exactly like what he ends up doing with gender. It's just
is it with trans people?
He just comes up with this, and then everyone is trying to catch up 20 years later.
Yep.
You even see a daddy look at her and say, this is Perdita. You can see it in the face. Her cheeks tighten up or something like that when she Laura Croft handstands out of the gorge.
Yeah, the
I
notion
love
that
her in the gorge. I love that whole scene.
God, the notion that Agnes is just terrified of hurting or being hurt, and then Perdita just goes, no, you have no idea how strong we actually are, and then demonstrates it over and over again.
There's a quote in the book that really, really stuck out to me when Granny and Oates are out in the wilderness fasting for 40 days when they're out trying to get to the castle. And it's right when Granny is coming back from the vampire thing, when she refuses to become evil, basically. And you get Oates there doing the whole thing of arguing with himself, basically. And Granny watches it, and the quote is, one mind split in half. There were more Agneses in the world than Agnes dreamed of, Granny told herself. All the girl had done was give a thing a name, and once you gave a thing a name, you gave it life. And that's such an interesting perspective on this, the idea of, it's relatively normal. The only thing that's different here is choosing to name it. But that's a really interesting perspective on this. I keep thinking about it as a way of viewing stuff in general, as things are the perspective of this is not the most rare thing, but interpreting it in this specific way and doing not really magic, but names have an amount of power just in terms of how we think about them. And doing that is an act of doing something. It gives something life. It's really interesting to me. I keep thinking about it.
Even Oates does it. He has this whole thing where like, oh, well, yeah, one of them's good oats and one of them's bad oats, but he's not quite sure which is which.
Oates is having such a rough time in this book. I love it.
He sure fucking is.
I appreciate him so much, and I also noticed that, like, it's also nice to see Pratchett use omnianism as, like, very specific, like, much more specifically a critique of Christianity instead of, vague foreign religions. Like, here, like, omnianism is, like, pretty clearly supposed to be Protestantism, and as demonstrated by the fact they have a waiting list because they have so many fucking Martin Luthers nailing their theses to the doors.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. That was
There's
good.
There's like a zillion schisms because everybody in the church is really well read now. And when you're really well read, you start to develop your own ideas about what you would do if you ran this zoo. And that's just like, that's similar to how like things shook out with Christianity. It was like as time went on, due to politics and due to changing life circumstances and due to people just not agreeing with each other, we have like a shit zillion of different Christian sects on a scale from like, oh, it's a great way to meet people on Sunday to like, these people want to kill people like us, and every shade in between. There was a little quote here.
There's even Pratchett's even like kind of even a little too nice because he leaves out all the real world schisms that are like, hey, fuck Craig, so let's find some like point of theology to quibble on so we can cut him out of this.
You like your king so much. Remember that time that your king split off from the Catholic Church because he wanted to get a divorce super bad? Mm-hmm. That was so funny. And then they made a Broadway play about it that I just learned about the other day, which fucks my brain up.
I'm just saying, do you think King Henry's wives demonstrated girl power by getting divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, and survived?
Yeah, so like there's this is like not related to the book at all, but like there's these ads on buses going around town all the time for this Broadway play called Six that's currently touring here. And I was like, why the fuck is it Six? Why does it look like the cover of a Queen album? Is it like a Queen musical? No, but yes, it's not the band Queen, it's queens, as in Henry VIII's wives, and they're all alive, and they're all in a pop song review talking about girl power. Despite the fact that their lives pretty much are defined by a lack thereof, but okay.
The Spice Wives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what they did with that one musical. What is it? The
Hamilton?
No. There's the famous the Assassins musical.
Oh, Assassins by
Is that what it's called?
Sondheim?
Assassins by Stephen Sondheim. Yeah, where it's just, hey, here's a bunch of guys who assassinated the president. They're gonna sing songs for you. Like, it's weird. I just certainly don't know about how I feel about Girl Boss, but
I'm fine with that. They don't try to like the fact that this is just like, yeah, these women were fucking owning it, baby.
I would simply rather play Here I Stand: Wars of the Protestant Reformation, which is also like not very woman empowering. Except you can't play as Queen Anne, I think, but it does have a King Henry's wives pregnancy chart, which is one of my favorite board game contrivances. Oh, and excommunication cubes.
Here was the line I was looking for. They had been warned about it. Don't expect it, they said. It doesn't happen to anyone except the prophets. Doesn't work like that. Works from inside. But Oates hoped that just once, that would make himself known in some obvious and unequivocal way that couldn't be mistaken for a wind or a guilty conscience. Just once. He'd like the clouds to part for the space of 10 seconds, and voice the crowd, "Yes! Mightily praiseworthy are ye who exalteth Oates. It's all completely true. Incidentally, that was a very thoughtful paper you wrote on the crisis of religion in a pluralistic society." It wasn't that he lacked faith, but faith wasn't enough. He'd wanted knowledge. But yeah, it's great that it's like it's really like, that's really like the bottom of the hill snowball, that where what started was like, before that, the like in Small Gods, didn't talk to anybody there either, but the only difference was that, like, there was no real impetus to seek out and try to define the nature of God and the nature of living under God. And it was just like, we worship our guy. If you don't, we kill you. The real genius of sort of brew this Reformation in the church was giving the church a bunch of other shit to worry about other than trying to be an empire. But the side effect of that is that you get a whole bunch of people like Oates who, like, are trying to figure out the purpose of faith, even in a world where they have every reason to know better. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting, like, a whole book of just Oates would have been kind of, I feel like it would have worn out its welcome. But woven into this, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah, he's a great contrast. And also, like, as you said, this is Omnianism. This is the religion we saw from Small Gods. It's so fascinating to see that come back. Like, see what it is nowadays. It's so fascinating to see that connection of something we've already seen.
Yeah, like, it's... And like, this is a great, like, stealth sequel to Small Gods, I would say. I really enjoyed seeing that, especially because, like, again, the Omnianismists, Onanists? That's not it. Omnians are like...
Onanist is a different thing.
Yeah, I know. How does Owen feel about jerking it? That's what I want to know. But, they...
Great.
I mean, he's into it.
He clamped his mouth onto an eagle's balls, and that's not even possible. That dude is inventing new ways to jerk it.
He loves dicks. Big fan. But, because, like, between then and now, like, we had, as I said earlier, like, Constable Visit in the Watch books, but he's just more like a weird joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Oates is like a full-on guy. He's, like, actually, like, aware of what happened with Brutha, and, like, man, like, maybe if I had seen that giant turtle manifest in front of everyone, I'd feel differently, but I didn't.
God, Granny's conversation, Granny's thing in the desert where she, like, finally just unloads on Oates of, like, if I was religious, I wouldn't be doing any of this shit. I wouldn't be going around trying to convert people and arguing with them. If I believed in something, I would be a fucking nightmare about it. It's really, really interesting. Her perspective there is a really interesting perspective, especially because it's one I've kind of struggled with. This idea of, like, if you believe in something, I don't know how you do it half-heartedly, but at the same time, like, you have to be religious. It's fascinating. Her whole conversation there where she just lays out what a nightmare she'd be if she actually believed in something like so good. It's great stuff.
Yeah, like, if you really had the courage of... Yeah, like, at least when you burned people at the stake, you had the courage of your convictions, right? You believed with your whole heart that what you were doing was right, which isn't necessarily a good thing. But you are at least believing in something, which... Also,
so now,
some fucking Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door earlier today. That was a weird serendipity, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. So now, here's the asshole question that I gotta ask to tie things back into our earlier discussion. Extremely Disco Elysium voice. Do you think that means that Mightily Oates represents centrism in this book?
No.
I mean,
he's not saying, because the problem here is he doesn't think the truth lies in the middle. He doesn't know what the truth goddamn is. He just knows that it's not either of these two things.
Also, at the end of the book, he kills the fascists. Like,
also true.
That is true.
Like, objectively, at the end of the book, his thing is, yes, okay, I don't know what the answer is to perhaps these complex questions of faith, but you know what I do know? That I should kill this person. They should be dead. And then he does. And that's not centrism, is the thing.
Yeah, like,
that's the opposite of centrism, perhaps.
He gets so many good bits, like when he's holding the axe, and there's a whole good through line with the axe where, like, he has this little holy symbol of the turtle, but, the axe, well, you know about the axe. That's one of the small truths you can believe in, and, like, there's the part where the vampire is, like, yelling, I'm like, you don't have your holy symbol. What can you do to me now? When he's holding the axe, and someone's like, well, let's see if we can make this one. It's so good.
That was great.
That
was so
good.
Cool.
It's such a great moment.
Or, like, he gets a lot of good, or like, he's, like, trying to start a fire. It's like, it's pouring rain. There's, like, we can't find any twigs, and he's he has like 4 matches left or whatever, and he's flipping through his little book of Ohm, and he lights a match and he reads a passage, nothing, and he does that 2 or 3 more times, and he's, well, and Insider's like, light the book, and he does it. It's so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a really great moment. And also, like, when Granny eventually realizes what he did, and she shifts from being a huge dick to him because she doesn't like him at all and wants him to suffer because she's kind of a huge dick, to being a huge dick to him because she respects him. And she's a huge dick to everyone she respects. Like, it's just a great transition. You can feel it a little bit in the way that she stops just, like, trying to bother him to piss him off, and trying to piss him off because she wants to challenge him and talk with him and, like, debate stuff with him. Ugh.
Yeah, they kind of meet in the middle, and it's like, she really comes around and like, hey, you're all right, Oates, and he's like, sunrises are pretty great, like, it's, and you can really see some of Pratchett's own thoughts coming through. It's like, maybe if you bring people together and you do the good works, and you're the religion is all well and good if it makes you do the right things.
It's good. I like this book.
Yeah.
I don't know how to keep saying, but I just really like this book. I like all of the things it does.
Like, I will admit I didn't, like, super vibe with Small Gods, but, like, Oates' arc in this, like, it got me.
Anyways, did any of you have any individual favorite jokes out of this book?
So many.
While not a specific joke, I just want to take a moment to laugh about the fact that up before they actually find where Granny's hiding out, there are multiple cases where someone says, well, if Esme was here right now, she'd wipe the smile off the Count's face for him. From the inside, if I know her. They make that joke over and over again if you know to look for it.
And then at the end, there's a whole thing where she's like, so I knew I couldn't get inside your head, so I worked on you from outside, which is where the blood is. We get a troll here who I think is our first troll without a mineral name. His name is Big Jim Beef, and the joke is that, well, if humans can be named Rocky, there must be trolls named Big Jim Beef. And there's a whole bit with whenever someone comes into the country, the border guards stamp their passport, or really just any piece of paper, and he stamps a duck with a seal, but he's like, oh well, I carved a duck because I don't really know what a seal looks like, so I figure a duck is close enough. There's a bit where you can't ask Verence is like going around telling people to do things. It's like, you can't ask a king who died and made them king; they would know. You can't ask him who won what army. You know what army? It's Jason Ogg, but it's one army. There's a joke that's funny for the wrong reasons where they mention someone named Total Biscuits.
Jesus.
A whole running gag where the vampires say, "I don't drink wine," but your brandy is fine. They do try to drink wine later on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's weird that the Countess kind of forgot that most fluids don't congeal, because they do say that she's former human, but that was apparently at least like 400 years ago, because even the kids are at least a couple centuries.
Yeah. Igor being upset that they oiled the hinges.
God, so much of the Igor Castle bit was like fucking gold.
Classic.
I want to give a shout out. So like, favorite pun was probably like, to be honest, there are a number of opinions. Well, yeah, or it helps me. The Prophet Brutha said that helps those who help one another. This is Oates and Agnes talking. And does he? To be honest, there are a number of opinions of what was meant. How many? About 160 since the schism of 10:30 a.m. February 23rd. That was when the reunited Free Chelonianists' Hubward Convocation split from the reunited Free Chelonianists' Roomward Convocation. It was rather serious. Blood spill, said Agnes. She wasn't really interested, but it took her mind off whatever might be waking up in a minute. No, but there were fisticuffs and a demon had ink spilled on him. I can see that was pretty bad. There was some serious pulling of beards as well. Gosh, sects maniacs, said Perdita.
Yeah.
But
Can I say the so-called United Methodist Church when gay people exist? Thank you. What else? Do you have any vampire blood in you? No. Would you like some?
Heyo.
There's the whole bit with, like, much like how there are humans with, like, vampire or goth sodas, there are vampires who have human sodas who drink wine and call themselves Tiffany.
But the great thing about that is, too, that when Vlad drags Agnes over to that group of, like was like Tracy and Deirdre and shit, all of the young vampires, it was like, these people are obviously creepy, but also, haven't we come a long way? Because the first time we saw Agnes, she was doing this exact same thing, but in the other direction.
Yes.
How weird is that to be like the vibe of, like, not only being involved with this vampire shit, but also, like, her being old enough to see this, them going the other way and thinking, like, God, there but for the grace of Granny, go I, you know?
Yeah, like, damn, I was almost that cringe.
Also, just brief shout-outs to the random vampire extra who exists only to die named Cryptopher.
Yes!
Yeah.
The fact that they keep referencing him and coming back like, oh my god, Cryptopher's dead! Like, I'm just saying his name. So funny.
My favorite character, Cryptopher, died! No!
Not Cryptopher.
We also had, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. I have a bunch of these, so, like, other people should get their lines in.
I was going to say, the other thing that really tickled me was that we get, in the old Count's music room, an organ that not only plays organ music, it also plays a shit ton of spooky-ass Halloween sound effects.
I think this is where we learned Bloody Stupid Johnson's actual name.
Yeah! Bergholt Stutley Johnson from Ankh-Morpork, one of his finest works.
It's come up a few
Wizards
times. We had to get this organ because there was no librarian.
Yeah. No,
that's true. No librarian in this book.
I was hoping they'd find a way to weasel him in there, but
like, they mentioned the Unseen University once, but they didn't. He didn't indulge so far as to find some excuse to mention the librarian.
Yeah, understandable.
Yeah, I would love to hear, like, as shit as the old Count probably is, I'd love to hear him perform "Return of the Bride of the Revenge of the Son of Count Magpier" from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved the whole scene of there. I especially loved that they immediately recognized that it's a Johnson. I think it's Nanny who's there.
Yes.
And she's just like,
Nanny,
oh, he's got a Johnson here. Oh, wow.
I haven't seen a proper Johnson in ages.
Great gag.
Fuck.
But also just that she's immediately like, oh, fuck yeah, I love this dude's shitty fucking stuff. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
the organ all those
so am I.
Yeah. Let's see. The just the crack about being a vampire is like being in a pyramid scheme, and though by two friends. Someone calls it a cluster suck at some point.
Yeah. I almost had that in the summary. I replaced it with buffeted and buffeted.
Igor is such a fucking sub where he's like, oh no, I hate licking the master's boots, but I do it anyways.
Yes!
He's such a fucking sub. I love him.
the Nanny has just offered to torture him a little bit later, and he's just so thrilled.
Yeah. There's a line there about taking time by the foreskin. There's a really good line where, like, Granny is fighting off the vampire TF, and she's grabbing the iron anvil and putting her pain into it and shit. And she's like, I had to look up the line to make sure I did it right. She's like, it'll need 3 witches if this goes wrong. You'll have to face something terrible. Like, well, what terrible thing is that? Me! Do it now! Gender.
God.
We get
She's
another,
very cool in this book.
Yeah, we get another fucking Scrofula reference. I think Terry has to mention every time there's a king.
Okay, he doesn't even say scrofula. He just says that while the touch of a king can cure certain scalp conditions, his forehead can cause others.
Because we know it at this point.
Yeah.
Every time Terry mentions it, he gets, like, a check for, like, $20 from the Royal Majesty's Scrofula Commission or whatever. Yeah.
Count Scrofula.
Does the Scrofula Awareness Consortium.
Yeah. Shout out to all the Scroffies listening out there. I know you take up most of our fan base.
All the Scrofula heads. There's... I did appreciate the sportsman vampire. There's kind of a phage ender of, like, the sportsman vampire coming... Yeah, the old Count coming back, and he's, like, pointing at everyone in the crowd, like, You there, your grandpa staked me really good once. I was dead for 50 years. It's like, thank you, God. We still keep it above the mantelpiece. Good, that's what I like to see.
Staked him from 20 paces away. That was a hell of a throw.
Yeah.
You should be proud of that. Incredibly athletic. The guy's like immediately so proud.
And he's beaming. He's like, "Oh, we still keep it above the mantelpiece. You know, we still talk about it.
Maybe
good man." Or
maybe it is fine that the old count is in charge. Because, like, man, if they could take this dude out from 20 paces away, maybe the villagers don't have a lot to be worried about. Honestly,
yeah, like it is pretty clear that like these guys.
They're
the
used
count
to
does
it.
not always win, right? Like you stake him once and he's out of action for like 50 years.
right?
Which, for most people seems better than being cattle.
Yeah,
And also,
it's
my monthly. I thought they made that up for Fall in London. Whatever the hell even song is. I mean, it's when you like do a church service in the evening and you sing about it. But
Yes.
oh yeah, the we don't want to wake up early on Sunday service. Yeah,
I mean, mood. Back when I observed, we would always go to the 10:30 Sunday service.
yeah, we would do Saturday night a lot. I guess we were doing Evensong when you think about it. Anything else you want to talk about before we go to the
Trying to think
rankings
of
and
other
some
stuff
fan
in the
mail?
book.
I mean, I have a question.
Go
Now, because there's a lot of talk in this book about the mother of the maiden and the crone, and how Maskerade is the mother now. There's a really good bit where they do name the baby, and it is. I wrote this down. Hang on.
Esmeralda Margaret Note Spelling
Yes,
Lanker.
Esmeralda Margaret Note Spelling of Lanker.
Great bit.
Can we change it? Well, no.
No, it's already been said. Everyone heard it. And there's a whole thing like, did Granny not come because she thought she'd been displaced or there's a new Esme around? But now why do they call it coven when you coven the cold witch of out hot crone the witch?
Oh my fucking god!
Christ grace. I genuinely
waiting
was
all
ready
episode
for you
to
to
say
say
that, haven't
something
you?
that I was like, oh wow, this is. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say, and then you hit us with that.
I mean, there is something here about passing the torch, right? And will new Esme, will young Esme, become a witch? And
Well,
all that.
unfortunately, we didn't get another proper witch book after this.
Yeah, we'll never.
To be
fucking
fair, we
know.
would have had to like 7 or 8 by the time new Esme was, old enough to train.
Yeah, we got to get to Discworld 2099 Future State.
Yeah, the post time skip where everyone's got like eye patches and
Discworld Shippuden.
Oh no! Then we have to suffer through a year of filler first.
Believe it. Who is the rock?
Well, I got some bad news about some of the later books.
Oh yeah, shit. Never
Did that
mind.
question get answered? Is there a Rock Lee of the disc?
No, it was the joke. Me marking on a year of filler.
I'm trying to think about who the discs Rock Lee would be. Who would be epic once they take off their training weights?
Who is constantly screaming about the springtime explosion of youth? Who has a mysterious son who looks just like him, but we never learned who the mother of his child is?
Is it just Carrot? I feel like it's just Carrot.
I was gonna say, I hate to say it, but this is Carrot.
Yeah, the constant earnestness, the constant kind of off-putting autistic earnestness. Yeah.
The utter singular focus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you have ideas for which Discworld character corresponds to which Naruto character, please drop us a line, disc@hypnovire.us, with your detailed observations. We'd love to hear it. Okay.
I feel like I'm trying to think of other stuff that was in the book. I feel like the entire plot with the Phoenix and the trainer.
Hodges
Oh
arc.
yeah.
Hodges
Hodges even gets an arc. He's another guy who was a joke previously.
He's just kind of there for most of the book.
Yeah, he
feel like-
doesn't do anything specifically important because he never finds the Phoenix himself. It just Esme goes, "You idiot! It was here the whole time."
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he takes the place of the beekeeper from Lords and Ladies. Like, he's just kind of like another dude who's around, and he helps out the main cast in a critical point, but he doesn't really do anything there. The Phoenix was interesting, but really didn't have a ton of
Yeah, it was just a
influence in the
weapon.
story. Yeah. It was okay. And like I thought the end part where it manifested was very cool, and I think
it was cool as hell. It just wasn't like didn't resonate.
The line about the Aurora Borealis being the phoenix dancing, that's really fucking beautiful. But also, it's just like, yes, we got this thing that's gonna wreck shit in the castle. Okay.
And nobody really had like a phoenix moment. There wasn't any big revelation quite like that. Like Granny's whole thing was that was this has already been over, but I don't know. It sounds like a cool thing that he put in because it seemed like a good idea, and then he just never really did anything with it.
He is trying to make a point about how like sometimes metaphors are real, or like every legend starts somewhere, or like folklore is all well and good, but it's what you make of it, or something like that, right? Like, because it was kind of a counterpoint to, because part of Oates' crisis of faith was like, yes, the Book of Ohm tells of this great flood story, but like, so does like all these other religions, which parallels something that happened in our real world, where like, a lot of people have a Noah's Ark type story, and like, sort of a great flood of some kind, and Esme's counterpoint is like, but sometimes those things really happened.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I wasn't quite sure what he was going for with that, but he was trying to make a point with the Phoenix.
Well, like the fact that there are flood myths in so many, around the world is one of those things that gets pointed to as evidence of the quote-unquote truth of the biblical flood. That shit happens. Of course everyone has stories about it because it happens.
Yeah, it's pretty memorable.
Yeah, or like, the Aurora Borealis is, or the Aurora Borealis, localized to time, is like, it's actually just electromagnetic whatever. He's learned all these science facts that undercut his religious teachings is the point. Mm-hmm. But... also, sometimes those things are more magical than they seem, or whatever, which, again, is weird.
Especially when there's actual, literal, observable magic, but,
Yeah.
It's strange.
Weird point. I wasn't sure what exactly he was trying to say there, but it seemed very meaningful at the time.
Yeah.
Well, it's like how, like, in Elden Ring, you have, like, tangible sorcery magic, and then there's, like, more mysterious faith-based magic, and this is the latter kind. You just have to kind of take it for granted.
There is something interesting to be said where even in a world where gods are like demonstrably real and do show up sometimes, there's still questions of like, what does Ohm want? Like, I didn't see him personally manifest. Like, there's a lot of like religious stories in his book that you could, like, he talks about one where like, and the tide turned red and prophet so-and-so did this, it didn't rain for decades after, that he read that, like, there's a certain species of krill or whatever that turns the water red, or, due to the weird wind patterns, sometimes it doesn't rain in this place for years at a time.
Man, Dorfel would get a kick out of Ohm. Anyways,
but it's good.
Ready to go to ranking, or was there anything else?
We're scraping pretty hard here to find things to complain about at this point.
There's not really. I'm trying to. I guess that would be my big question. Was there anything y'all didn't like about the book? Any stuff that really stood out to you as I don't like this at all? Just didn't work.
I have more notes. Like, we did meet Casanunda again briefly. He's a Lowway man.
He shows up very, very, very briefly.
We should have got more of him. I missed him.
Yeah, I think he should have got. I think him and Nanny should have fucked again.
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, I forgot he was in like the first couple chapters, and then just he has the sense to fuck off, which
there's
I can't.
There's
fault
already
him for that.
so much happening in this book.
Yeah, like it is kind of weird how Varence is like, we should be more like accepting and international, and like, we should be aware of the world around us as presented as like weird and dangerous, like, because there's a whole thing where like the vampires couldn't have come unless he invited them, and he invited them because he wants to have positions on all these foreign wars, and be aware of be international and modern.
Yeah.
For the first, seems weird to say that's bad. Like, it is bad specifically that you invited the vampires, because you have to invite vampires in. But, like...
For the very first, third of the book, I thought that the point was going to be that the vampires stole Esme's invitation, and that's how they got in. Like, he didn't actually he was smart enough not to invite them, but they snuck in by using a loophole. But no, he just actually invited them.
Yeah, which is...
Yeah, it seems like weird. He did invite them, and also, like, they conspired to keep Granny away because her invitation was stolen by magpies.
Which they explicitly control.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they control. But, yeah, no, Varys just invited them. I feel like Varys kind of got... not even flattened. It's just like he really wasn't a character in this book.
Varys was the damsel for a good chunk of it.
Yeah. Until he gets broken out by the Nac McFeagle.
Yeah, he's like... oddly enough, he's like the only character in the Witches books who got less interesting as time went on. Like, he starts as like a dude who's like the court jester getting raised up to the level of king. And like, you'd think that would really provide him with an interesting perspective on... political events and stuff, but he gets overtaken with this desire to modernize and this like desire to keep up appearances and stuff that I feel like he never really gets his, like, couple pages of character development that help him realize that just being himself is worth it, or that just paying attention to the people around him is important, or whatever.
I would be happy if he got a W, like if, the people of Lanker accepted that indoor plumbing was a good idea. Like, if he got one W, I think
I think Sean would be really into that,
Yeah, especially now that they blew up the garderobe.
Yeah, which, as someone who has, like, never seen the word garderobe before, I kept reading Gardevoir, which is not helpful.
No, that's a very specific niche you're thinking of.
Yeah.
The Garderobe is not remotely as fuckable as a Pokemon as Gardevoir is. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's there's a hole there. I guess go nuts. Just wash up afterwards.
I mean, you had to make a do before we had a whole industry dedicated to inventing fuckable monsters every year.
You had to make do, all right.
Yeah, country girls make do before they invented Gardevoir.
But, like, the thing is, Varys isn't wrong, he's just in the wrong place.
Yeah, like, the problem is that he has a populace who doesn't really... Yeah, they're busy, I suppose, is the answer, right? Like, they have shit to do. But, like, I honestly think if he got one W, it'd be, like, easier to swallow.
I was hoping that something would come of the fact that he got driven, just... soccer riot insane for a little while, but no, they just kind of brushed that. Everyone was very impressed, and they just go back about their business.
Yeah, like they patronize him, like, oh, it's good for a king to be able to wave a sword and do this sort of thing every now and again. Which, to be clear, is like, I can understand that as like, a very sort of like English, the king is the figurehead type thing.
Yeah, this is our weird little guy. We love our weird little guy. He wears the big hat and he lives in the big house. He needs a project to work on. He needs like a Montreal Jazz Festival or whatever the fuck to organize.
Mm-hmm. Overall, I think we all liked this book a lot. It works well. The plot flows really well. Everything about it goes well. It's fun to read. There wasn't really a moment when I was bored with it. Also, it's really dark. Like, it really, really feels dark, and I feel like that's really to its credit.
Yeah.
I was genuinely really like, oh shit, what's going to happen next a lot of the time, just because of how intense it is. That was good. I liked that.
Mm-hmm.
But what if there was a way to determine precisely how good it was?
Yeah. You really have
Let's head over to our big board. Yeah.
If only we had some scientific way of doing this.
Yeah, if only we had like an official ranking. Oh, wait, we do! So now the last Witches book we ranked was Lords and Ladies from 1992.
Man, that's still got up to 6. That's still in the top quarter.
That's still got that's pretty high. Would we say this is better or worse than Lords and Ladies?
I would say this kind of does what Lords and Ladies was going for, but better. As much as
this is just Lords and Ladies, but better.
As much as I have an FA appreciator, this book just does it all better. It doesn't. Yeah. Doesn't say. I would say it's a better Lords and Ladies than Lords and Ladies. I may even.
They even talk about.
I may even jump the gun here and say it's a better Small Gods than Small Gods.
Ooh.
We're gonna get. We're probably gonna get into a fight when we get into if it gets to the top 3. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying. I'm not necessarily blowing my own position here, but like I definitely would. I would have started saying that this is better than Hogfather, hands down.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is better than Hogfather. Hogfather was really fun, but it was very uneven.
Kind of so was Men at Arms, if I'm remembering it right.
No, Men at Arms is also really uneven. Definitely better than that.
And I mean, Reaper Man is great, but I think one very valid criticism you could level at it is that it's uneven.
Yeah, and also, like, the thing I always say about Reaper Man is that, like, Reaper Man's the book that really hit me really hard, where even though it's uneven, the good stuff means so much to me. But this book is also that. This book has, like, Granny's famous whole quote about sin that's really, really good. It's got a ton of random bits. It's got
the observation of all evil comes from when you start observing people as things. Like, has that come up yet? Because I know this isn't the only time that it comes up.
It showed up in one of the Watch books, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I thought it was the first time it came up, but I think that's like the series thesis.
Yeah. I want to say that happened the last time we had a vampire, but it was the vampire in fucking the one in Ankh-Morpork who like made a
that was in Reaper Man.
Yeah.
And they were just weird jokes.
But like, I think we have had this before. I forget where. This is, I think, where it gets stated really succinctly. But I think we do get that something about treating people like they were things before, and it was definitely an Ankh-Morpork.
I feel like it would be Feet of Clay because that sounds like the thesis.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing that would come up.
Book to recall, if I recall.
I think Pratchett's talked about it, but I don't think he's ever stated it. Like
it hasn't been presented as cleanly. So it hasn't been. It wasn't even properly challenged. Because you're right. It does sound like the sort of thing that Vimes would think in one of his inner monologues.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of thing that would come up in the banality of evil, but here it's just like the entire central thing. Like, if you start treating people as things, that's where it all goes wrong.
Yeah, because, like, the whole thing here is that the shiny new vampires turn people into cattle, into meat. Which, again, I know some of you freaks are all about, but it's bad here.
Well, the important thing is that the people didn't sign up to be meat.
Yeah, they didn't consent.
Like, again, we're like, you really could have done this better. You could have... Do you have any idea how easy these days it would be for a vampire to get, like, thousands of people just horny for getting bitten?
Yeah,
but like, you're not thinking that way because you're a vampire. You have to think of yourself as on top. You have to see this as, I'm better than all of them. These people are just walking food bags.
Listeners, so if you want to be turned into a walk... okay.
If you want to be meat for a vampire, hey bud, I get it. Good taste.
Look, I spent half this book going, man, it's probably a good thing that Terry Pratchett isn't horny about this, but I sure am.
Yeah.
So,
again, like, if I didn't draw that protective Douglas Adams, like, parallel early on, I would have been weird about the vampires.
This book, it's hard to be weird about the vampires in it because they really suck. Like, not just I didn't actually mean that.
You met Scott Adams earlier, not Douglas Adams. Now, we draw parallels between Douglas Adams and Terry Pratchett all the time, but usually in a somewhat affectionate sort of way.
Yeah, sorry, no, Dilbert man.
Yes.
I was very confused. But no, like the vampires in here are just awful. Their big thing is just not respecting anyone, being awful.
They actively choose to be the worst over and over again. They could be so much better, and the fact that they don't choose to be better is their central conceit.
Yeah, the Fae and Lords of Ladies had at least some gender to them because they were just kind of like that. There wasn't the sense of like, oh well, maybe they're choosing to be evil like this. Is just like, no, this is an alien being that is horrifying, sort of thing. Like,
meanwhile, the vampires made a choice.
Yeah, the vampires are they're just awful. They could stop being fascists at any moment, but they choose not to.
They even have a guy constantly following them around saying, you don't have to be like this. You know, there was a guy who replaced that was like better, or at least like more fun about it. And like, I mean, the other thing they get is like, the other kind of weird thing is like, these vampires are organized, whereas the old count was like, vampires are not by their nature like team players. Like, the old count was just one guy. He was just one vampire, which like also kind of limited the damage. Like, he only had to bite one person every now and again. He didn't have to like organize a town to feed from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which again is like, not really sure what that's maybe not like a clean metaphor, but like in the context of vampires specifically, it makes sense.
Right.
Anyways,
so yeah, we can. I think we've all agreed this is better than Reaper Man.
Yeah, it's better.
Is
than
this
Reaper
better?
Man.
Is this better than Small Gods?
See,
because this is where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah,
as somebody who is stumped for Small Gods in the past, I am willing to admit that this book is less uneven than Small Gods.
I really love Small Gods, but this book does a lot of the things Small Gods does. It just does them slightly better. I think this ranking is pointless and stupid and silly, and we all know that, and blah, blah, blah. But
this book could not exist without Small Gods.
Correct.
I will grant that.
Yes.
That does not mean that Small Gods is better than it, though.
But you can say that about a lot of books, right? Like, yeah.
This book wouldn't exist without the Witches books, but it's also the best Witches book.
I mean, you could say we wouldn't be in a lot of... Yeah, we wouldn't have had a lot of things if we didn't have the first few Rincewind books. So we wouldn't have had the Librarian without the Color of Magic, but, like, you don't see anyone stumping for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, like, foundation, like, thematically. Like, again, this does only work because we've gone through Small Gods. We've seen what that developed. Mm-hmm. Like, it... I don't care about, prequels or whatever. You can say that shit happened however you want, but you know what I meant.
Yeah, like...
Yes.
I mean, this book does stand on the shoulders of giants, such as Small Gods, but, that does mean it is taller.
Yeah.
So now, big question. Would we say it's better or worse than Feet of Clay?
I can't agree with that.
Yeah.
It's very hard, but there is nothing here that, like, okay, I'm just gonna play the big one right now. Nothing in here tops All Things Strive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Clay of my clay, thou shalt not kill. Like
there was some powerful shit in here, but there was nothing that hit anywhere near.
There wasn't like, I am becoming a person. I have decided to be a person. That's like, it just gives me chills.
Yeah,
I'm fucking crying. I'm sitting here sobbing right here. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm tearing up fucking now thinking about clay robots.
I think sticking it in at number 2. I think that's probably pretty cool.
Admittedly, All Things Strive is technically a quote from Hogfather, but
fuck.
That is what
motherfucker.
But it is true.
Oh my god, I forgot that. I'm such an idiot.
I mean, it's the theme of Feet of Clay. It's the theme of what Feet of Clay is, the idea of becoming people in that way. And like,
don't mind me, I'm just going through an entire Ace Attorney breakdown animation over here.
Almost Christmas means it wasn't Christmas.
I was sitting here like, I think this is I thought that was from a different...
No! God damn it!
I'm sorry. But like, genuinely,
And I'm definitely not allowed to play this when we get to Thud. Don't worry, Thud won't be anywhere near this.
We'll get to
Thud
it.
Won't be anywhere near.
But I could put this above Feet of Clay. I genuinely could. I think this might possibly be a better book than Feet of Clay, just because all of it worked, while there are parts of Feet of Clay that I remember and being like, about. But I like robots, and I like the questions of what are people, and I like those questions a lot. If I was the person who really, really was like, yes, the vampire plural book, that's the one that's going to get me, it would be me, but I'm also like the weird robot book.
I'm a bit worried about recency bias here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yes, recency bias, but also Terry did get better at writing over time.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, this one was not how do I be a person, but like, what if someone decides to stop being a person?
And also, like, the last few books we had, like Last Continent hits at number 11, Hogfather was number 5, Interesting Times was number 22, Jingo's number 16. Like, we haven't really been too bad about that. So I think it's okay if we stick it in at number 2. I think that it's earned its spot.
Yeah.
Roughly.
Well, I mean, we'll see in the future how hard do we fight, how hard do we go to bat for Carpe Jugulum in 3 or 4 books. I don't know when the next real contender for the top is, to be honest with you.
The next one is the fifth elephant.
I don't
know how much I remember about it, so...
That's a problem for future us, not a problem for us now.
Yeah, that's true.
What is it? So we have, next up we have fifth elephant, and then we have...
And then the truth.
And then that one's also... Thief of Time, then Last Hero.
And then I believe it's Last Hero, and then it's...
Amazing Maurice.
I think it's Night...
And then Night Watch.
Yeah.
We're getting close to Night Watch. We're getting close to me having a complete and total bit breakdown on the podcast. I'm very excited. Will I force that into being a two-parter? We will see.
Isn't Monstrous Regiment after Night Watch?
Yeah, Monstrous Regiment is a... No, there's a We Free Men between it. The first Tiffany.
Yeah, Monstrous Regiment is number 31.
The young adult shit. Yeah.
But this entire stretch is just so fucking good.
This is the bangers that we keep saying that we're getting to, but we
we enjoy this
while
it lasts.
It lasts for a fucking while.
No, I'm not saying it's short, but like this is some of the best. This is where we're building the real top 10 by the looks of things.
Yeah. Anyways, now that that's done and dusted, we have some fan mail, very exciting from our listeners.
And
you sent in a lot, actually.
I believe.
Very happy about that. From Brendy.
Hi, Brendy.
Terrible thought on the lost continent. Do I need to provide context for this answer? Chortling. Breath play that requires scuba gear, an enormous pool, and adjusting the nitrogen mix. Love the podcast, as always. Thanks, Brendy. That's some freak shit.
Yep.
We have a message from our ongoing correspondent, Jace Posts. Hey, y'all. I don't have anything really to add to a conversation about this book, so I'm just going to say Margaret is trans femme, and the reason she can have a kid is because everyone knows that's what queens do. I agree. Now, the real reason I'm in your inbox, yesterday while driving, I finished the audiobook for The Shepherd's Crown. Y'all did this to me. It's not safe to have that large of emotions behind the wheel. The heck am I supposed to do now? Note, I skipped the wizard books and the truth. I'll get to the truth eventually, but the audiobook isn't in my library. With love, Jace, stay itchy. Jace, we're all getting to the truth eventually.
Yeah, it's...
Belina posts in chat. The reason they have a kid is because Variance is trans masks. That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah, that does actually work for him pretty well.
Yeah.
Finally, from... Wow, we have a message coming all the way from Equestria here. Dear Princess Belinthia, I'd always loved Pratchett's penchant for finding the holes in the fourth wall where worlds overlap, and I do hope this current one in the shape of a virus girl serves to deliver this letter. Is this framing device contrived, and perhaps best left to an annotation? Perhaps, but writing with hooves is hard enough as it is. As an early teen, Rincewind was a character...
You have a horn, Beans. You're telekinetic.
As an early teen, Rincewind was a character I'd like to think about more than read about, and listening to you all dunk on the shitty lad has made me think about him again. Often fictional characters can be more interesting in the ideas they don't explore, so please join me in putting on some, not related to other fiction, rose-colored glasses and look at the Rincewinds that could have been. There's something fun to be seen in a world where someone learns one spell that is so powerful that other spells are too scared to stay in their same head, but that's some one-chapter side character bit. How often do people on the disc see wizards? Aloof academics who seem more interested in breaking reality than helping people? There are so many ways a character like Rincewind could have been clever about abusing that assumption, or maybe found some practical uses of small spells or something to still squeak by. Even in the first book, we had a gem of the coin that lands on the edge instead of heads or tails because of the magical radiation, and it's hard not to see a Rincewind in a roadside picnic sort of world instead. That's an idea. That'd be fun. Like a fuck. Yeah. What would the exclusion zone on the disc look like? It'd have to be pretty fucked up.
I mean, we had some of those in the first couple books. That's the point. That's the point she's getting at here. Is we had exclusion zones. We had that fucking inverted mountain.
But what if it was better written?
What if it was good?
Yeah.
What if it was good? Continuing, and let's just take a gender step. What about a Rincewind who gives up being a fail-son wizard and becomes a, maybe less, fail-daughter witch? Headology already seems like kind of his magic anyway, doesn't it? Maybe he'd be less weird about other people if he wasn't so judgmental of himself. I don't want this letter to be too long, so I'll stop there. Maybe even just those points have already gotten heads turning on cool, better Rincewinds. Hopefully future viewings of The Dreadful Boy will be brief and books to come. I've got great news for you. Grace Full Spark is coming back, and I fear this portal will close with her, so until next time, your faithful student spilled beans. Thanks, Beans.
I will admit that a version of Rincewind that has like a bunch of shitty spells that nobody wants to deal with would be 1,000 times more interesting.
The foster home for unwanted spells.
Yes, that would be that's a fucking brilliant series idea. Come on.
Nobody's wanted Morphulon's disgruntled smell-haver for decades, but he's still good. He's still useful.
Rincewind would be better as a fun wizard D&D character to play as.
Yeah. I think
if you're playing D&D the right way, which is the shit way.
Actually, I think that's kind of why people like Rincewind. Like, Rincewind's a fun character to think about. He's not really a fun character to read. Not to be mean, like, I get why people love those books and stuff, but the idea of cowardly wizard with a single spell in his head and all this is a really fun idea for, like, a D&D character, for things that you can theorize about and things you can tell your friend about. More than I actually enjoyed the Rincewind books. Yeah. I like talking to people about who Rincewind might be more than I like reading the Rincewind books.
Yeah.
I'm quietly realizing that like the 2 adventure games which you play as Rincewind are thousands of times more interesting than any actual Rincewind book. Not just because they rip off the stories of better Discworld books, but because you actually play a version of Rincewind that fucking does something.
Yeah, like... that's the thing, right? Like,
I think the other issue here, though, the bigger problem with Rincewind, is that we are a group who absolutely loves to go, what if about Discworld? Mm-hmm. And the problem is, the shitty little man is not the thing that we keep thinking, what if about? We keep coming up with all these side characters. We keep being like, oh, but what if Agnes Nitt got more characterization? What if we got to see, what if Hex was a cute girl? What if we got more of the stuff in Maskerade that we liked? What if we got more of the stuff in this book that we liked? What if...
Transfemnabi.
I'd love to see the weird shitty vampire guy from this book come back later and try and, like... I'd love to see him try and be a better person and Agnes not have it and Perdita, like, sort of be into him still and them just fight about it constantly. Or him be just as shitty, like, end the book with her like, being like, okay, fine, maybe we'll consider it. And it turns out he just sucks just as much. And they both beat him up together. If you could do a plot like that. We can come up with so many random good plots, and we keep doing so, and we don't think of that when we think of Rincewind.
We asked the big questions like, could estrogen have saved Cut Me Own Throat Dibbler? But we never asked the same question of Rincewind.
I don't think Rincewind could hack it for 5 minutes as a witch. Correct. I'll be real.
He could.
You can fake it till you make it as a wizard. You can't do that as a witch. Because faking it is making it.
Now, wait a second. Hold on. You had me until the last sentence.
I mean...
Doing the whole headology thing requires a lot of control over who you are and how people see you. So you need to be good at that at the outset. Okay, and if there's one thing that Rincewind is bad at doing, it's convincing people that he is a powerful wizard. Sometimes people assume that, but then they get a good look at them.
His mouth,
and they're like, well, hold up.
That is the first notion you'll ever disabuse someone of, is that he's any kind of competence.
I can't picture him doing headology on anyone. I don't think he would be good at being a witch. I think he could be a female wizard. I don't think he could be a witch.
I said, just give me the Rincewind who's got a bunch of just shitty spells that don't even fit in spell books.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
that's always a fun thing to play with. Mm-hmm.
The problem is that Rincewind's biggest character trait is that he doesn't do anything. He is a toy of fate. It's hard to take Rincewind in a direction because any direction that he would go in would have to involve him choosing to go in that direction. And the only direction Rincewind go in, people will say, well, the only direction Rincewind goes is away. That's sort of true. But more than that, the only direction Rincewind goes in is whichever direction the will of fate wants him to go in at any given moment. And that's just not that interesting.
And even that he's going to dig his heels in and complain about it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, I misheard something earlier, and it kind of gave me the side idea of like what if there was somebody out there that Rincewind cared about, like, because I actually misheard earlier when you mentioned Nobby. You said, I know you said transfem Nobby, but I heard rinse found Nobby. Wait a second.
The weirdest ship imaginable. Readers, if you want to draw...
Knobwind!
Knob wins!
This is maybe the worst thing I can imagine having to see.
A wizard staff with a knob on the end.
Okay, we are.
Jesus Christ!
We have to end
this. We have to end this.
We're ending the show. This has been Discovers. I'm sorry about that. You can find us online at anchor.fm/discpod. I think it's some different web page now because it's called Spotify Podcast now, but you can still find us at anchor.fm.
Yeah, it redirects.
/dispod. We're also on co-host at cohost.org/discpod. We're on Mastodon at queer.party/@discpod. And we're on
Look,
X.
y'all, just wherever you found us, we're still going to be there. Please hang on.
We're still going to be there.
I'll
get a Blue Sky account set up if you're on Blue Sky soon. I'm sorry that you're on Blue Sky.
If you're on Threads, please stop.
If you're on Threads, wow.
Why?
Even the people on Blue Sky feel bad for you. Holy shit. You can also send us fan mail at disc@hypnovir.us. That's dischypnovir.us. I think I spelled that right.
Get on the original decentralized federated social media. Email.
But yeah, I'm Iris J. You can find me at Iris J Comics on Mastodon, co-host, Blue Sky, Tumblr, X, and at irisj.net. And if my thing that isn't Discworld that I'm going to promote this week, I'm going to say that I would like to promote... I'm close friends with Sarah Zedig. Sarah Zedig does a Homestuck fan fiction called God Feels. It's very long, very elaborate. If you're interested in works of fiction that explore concepts of plurality in great detail from multiple angles, check that shit out. It's better written than Homestuck was. You should give it a read. I think there's a podcast that's attempting to make it into an audiobook as well. That's been interesting. And... I don't say that as being facetious. I say that because it is interesting that it's garnered enough of a following that people are making it more accessible. That's real neat. I think there's like a tabletop campaign that people are working on right now that's based on it. It's cool. There's this whole little offshoot thing going on there. Check that out. I'll link it in the show notes.
I'm Juniper. Find me on co-host at Juniper Theory. Find me on Mastodon, maybe at slime.global at Junebug. Don't find me on Twitter anymore. I'm not there. I am there, but I'm not posting there anymore. I hate it. I guess, you know what I'll plug? I decided to get really into Toho for some reason because I was bored.
Hell yeah.
It's been good to see.
I was very depressed and I just decided to do it. And I recommend... watching an 8-hour stream that Holly Holotones did, where she just had someone explain Toho to her for the entire time. And that was a great thing to watch while I was doing other stuff that day. And that's what I would recommend.
Shout out for the fact that Doc kept making the case that Toho is Discworld, so we get extra little weird crossover.
I really, really hate to say it, but having played every Toho game, I sort of get it. It's not as good, obvious. Well, I mean, it's good in a different way. There are video games in this way. But it has the same Discworld thing of like, oh, you were writing this shit as like a funny joke because you were just kind of goofing off at the beginning. But now you're like 8 issues later, you're 8 things later, and you're still writing those characters, and you're just kind of grappling with the world they live in as you go, and it's become really interesting because of what you've done.
But I have to ask the most important question. Is Reimu Sam Limes?
Okay, Reimu. Also no. Because she sucks. There isn't really a character in it that doesn't suck enough to be Sam Limes.
Is Marissa our transfem knobs?
No.
No, because she actually works very hard. It's
Marissa's
like a main part
a
of her character is pointing out that she doesn't want people to know that she works hard because
Marissa's a transfem. Marissa's a trans femme moist.
Ah.
That's who
Yeah,
she is.
no, you're right. No, absolutely, absolutely.
She's a moist, except instead of going through the whole, instead of being a shitty con man in a fantasy world, she gets to be a funny con man in a world full of girls where it's not as big of a deal. But she's a moist. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it when girls are moist.
Thank you, Grace.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, if you want to get into it, sure, you could play a bunch of games, or you could watch that stream, which is like a better thing to do because it's a fun stream to watch.
I really hope that thing's got a VOD up.
You
can probably find
it does.
Okay.
I watched it on YouTube. It was great to work
beautiful.
to. It made me understand Toho. It's great. And the one thing I got off the video more than anything else is if you want to be a fan of Toho, you under no circumstances need to be good at or engage with the actual bullet hell games. There's so much that is not that you can engage with. It's a broad fandom by accident, which is weird.
However, if you are the sort of person who wants to spend 200 hours grinding one bullet hell level to get the perfect score, if you're the sort of person who plays a rhythm game over and over and over and over and over and over again just to get points and such to see how good you are, if you're that sort of person and you're also the sort of person who read Homestuck or has the sort of brain that if you find a bunch of random girls you'll just hyperfixate on one, Toho is made for you, as it's the perfect meeting of those two things.
It is.
So you are the person that it's marketed to. That's not even me. I played the games on easy because I don't care that much. You are the person who this series is built for.
It is a broad fandom in that most of the characters are women and people are fans of the broads.
Heyo.
Okay, I am Belita. You can find me in the show notes. That's just so much easier than me trying to spell this stuff. I am going to have to put a pass on my official plug here because the last few weeks my hyperfixations have been Fear and Hunger 2 and writing fanfic that I don't show anybody, and neither of those things are things that I really think that I can full-heartedly support without putting 1,000 content warnings in front of them.
Yeah, you can't support that. The Fear
That's
and Hunger
fair.
is cool, but also
It's
you sure as
good.
hell can't.
It's incredible, but I can't recommend it to people directly. You have to know what you're getting into. So
Right.
approach it with a very long pole.
You've been doing Gunpla recently. It's been fun seeing you post photos of Gunpla.
Yeah, I've been working on those recently. I needed to stop fucking raining so I can go paint again. But no, go get into Gunpla is a weird thing to plug too. So
I'll plug it. Get into Gunpla. It's cute and fun.
I was going to, before I thought of a better thing while y'all were talking, I was going to promote going on Pokemon Showdown and getting into competitive Pokemon battling. So Gunpla is probably better than that.
that's fair.
I think it's about as good as that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
You can promote whatever you want at this part of the show.
They're both nerd activities. I say that affectionately as a nerd.
Literally the other day, I keep say this is your. I'm oh man, I'm sorry that I'm getting into Gunpla. I'm such a fucking nerd, Jesus Christ. And then Nero's we do both draw comics for a living, so we're already nerds.
You are cringe, but you are free.
Yeah.
So, Internet's beloved Princess Grace, where can we find you?
I'm glad you asked. I am the Internet's beloved Princess Grace. You can find my writing, programs, podcast posts, and everything else that's fit to plug at princess.software, including, if you go to princess.software, scroll down to YouTube, click on it. I just released a video that I'm very proud of. It's called Unboxing Video. I recommend it.
Yes.
It is... I'd say it's a long time coming, but it took a few weeks of waiting for stuff and then an hour to shoot. But I'm still very proud of it, and I'm trying to spread it out because I think it's one of my magnum opuses. But
you should watch it. I won't explain anything else about it.
Yes.
Just watch it.
Please.
It's real good.
Thank you. Yeah, I recommend you go in as blind as you can, or let people talk around it for a bit. I'm told I opened my knife sexy in it, but regardless, the non-me thing I'm going to plug is Gal Gaigar. It's very Gal Gai good. It's a very good manga/anime. The anime whips. I'm constantly thinking about it. Sometimes I will just go back and watch the intros because they're all extremely good in the fucking is infectious. I love it. if you like mechs, if you like giant robots, if you like something that is kind of a response to Evangelion in that the main character's parents love him, and in fact he has a second family who also love him, and only do things with an explicit consent, it's good.
Grace, I just need to observe how beautiful it is that, like, I'm sitting here going, that's kind of weird. Iris is going, yeah, I was going into this, but it was kind of weird, but then I kind of got over it. And then you're just full-throated. I've been praising your improv skills to one person in particular a lot the last couple of days, and you already know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
there.
I do. I'm blushing.
But just the way that you can throw your entire enthusiasm behind something without a second goddamn thought in your head is just such a rare talent.
I'm blushing. Like, I've posted about this before, but there have been 2 separate occasions where I cried while driving home from work because I thought about Sunset Shimmer. Like, I can't turn it off.
Aww.
And that's why we love you.
Damn right. I'm crying now, but I'm not driving home from work, so it doesn't count.
That's okay. Good. You should not be podcasting while driving.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a podcast of 4 trans stones without all of us crying at the end. Thanks for listening to Discoverers. We'll be back next time with the 5th elephant. Until then, truly, it was a Carpe Jugulum.
They sure did.
Have a good evening and keep on disking, folks.
Yeah.
Grab time by the foreskin.
I gotta
so
go
true.
get horse trucked back through that portal.
Later.
I didn't know there was a commuter sky.